Greetings, Patrick here. Time for another edition of Dollar Theater. And we've had a great run recently of classic 50s films and also taking a look at the 1970s Sid Marty Krofft series Land of the Lost. But today we decided to do something a little different. We decided to go back to documentaries. And for this edition of Dollar Theater, we are taking a look at 2008's Lioness. Lioness came out in 2008 as a documentary film directed by Meg McLagan and Darius Summers. And it takes a look at women in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were known as Team Lioness. Now, women are not allowed to be assigned to combat units. I mean, they're not expected to fight. They're not supposed to. But in Iraq, during the insurgencies, women were needed by the Marines because as they went to look for insurgents and try to develop intel, one of the things that the men could not do at all was touch any women. In fact, that would just shut off any cultural. It's culturally wrong for a man to touch an Arabic woman. It's highly, highly offensive. So theoretically, you could do that, but then any support that you would try to develop would be lost, and resistance would even be worse. So what the Marines did was they attached women soldiers to come along with them. Not a part of their combat unit, but attached means they were just part of that unit temporarily while they're in duty. They went around and talked to the women and patted them down and make sure they were okay. And they would also talk to the women, tell them what was going on. Those who could speak, Iraqi or Afghan. But these women saw combat. They were fired upon. They were shot at. They returned fire. And it's a rough time. And we meet a group of 5 women who served on one of the first Team Lionesses and got their backstories. And since women were not allowed to go into combat, they were not integrated in combat units. For them to see combat was something totally unexpected and something new. And as we find out, that women do also suffer from PTSD. They too suffer from the same things from men suffer in combat. But whereas men had a lot more structure there to help them, women do not, or did not, as of 2008, and this was made. So we cover 5 different women and their stories. It's really eye-opening. It's really eye-opening. This is excellent right here. A must-see if you're into military history, if you're into military at all. The high price to pay because of the Team Lioness' success. Now, according to this, the reports are still up in the wind as far as the Team Lioness do they work. They do. In fact, so much so that they created a new unit, a new job called Female Engagement Teams, which is basically just a formal way for saying Team Lioness. And this is where these women go inside, and if they have to pat them down, they do so. They also distribute information to the women and their families, let them know what's going on, why they're there, what's happening to them, and whatnot. Now, some families have nothing to do with anything. Majority of them do not. But if you're in those countries, you have to basically, if insurgents are coming through your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to say no. You're going to have to let them come through your house, even if they're just passing from one, even if they're passing through your house to get to the one next door. A lot of families are subjected to that. And if they resist or cause any sort of a ruckus, they can be seen as traitors or sympathizers to the Americans. And, well, we know what will happen then. So gathering intel is very, very tricky. Um, we see different, like I said, we see the different ladies were different Marines that were in combat. Some really struggle. Um, some have. I mean, if we're talking. These women have families. They have husbands and wives and uh, um, uh, or husbands. I don't know if they had wives then, but they had husbands. Probably not, because they probably wasn't. Yeah, I have to go back about that, but they definitely held their own. They served with honor. They served with distinction, and yeah, if they had to put lead on target, they did that as well. And they have to come back and they have to go through that. And so we see the cost of what it costs for the women to serve. And hopefully, like they said, this is a older film, but as a now, we definitely hope that women servicemen who have died, more women have died in the Iraqi theater than any other war in United States history. There have been more women killed in Iraq than anywhere else. Of course, as of 2008, 2008, now it's higher now, sure, but back in 2008, as many as 15% women comprise of our military. So, um, and we find out too that these women can pull a trigger just as well as any man can. They can fight, though it is against the law. It is against the president. It is against the law for women to be assigned combat units. It's a tricky situation. Oops, sorry about that. Um, it's a tricky situation, that's for sure. And the documentary covers that. That tells you about who they are, why they joined the Marines, what they saw over or across the sea, in Iraq, Afghanistan, including one who I said actually shot and killed enemy combatants. And she struggles with it. Though I will say, well, one thing about her though is that she has. I could definitely see why she was asked to serve on Team Lioness. She's a crack shot. Uh, this was a really strong documentary. This came from a company called Docurama Films. I think I've done a couple of these already, and I've seen this to remember the name. But I tell you what, this is extraordinarily good, and I enjoyed it very much. And as an education for me, even if it was 16 years old, there's a lot of things in here that I did not know. Did I know about Team Linus? No, I'll be honest with you. I did not know that there were women that were attached like that. Um, I always thought they were in service units where they should be, combat engineers and what have you. Um, what I mean by they should be is that's what they're assigned to. They didn't sign up to suddenly get tapped on the shoulder and sit there and say, "Yeah, we're putting you with Marines on the point. You're now tip of the spear in this patrol or roundup." These women's were, and it's an order, and it's like they talk about like we're not really supposed to be doing that. We're not really supposed to be in that situation, but what do? We follow orders. They tell us that when they need us there, we're going, even though legally they're not supposed to. As of now, I do not know if women are still not allowed to serve in frontline combat units. I would still say no, um, which is some might say it's well that's the way it should be, and while others will say if a woman can shoot just as well as a man, then by all means. It's a touchy situation. It's a touchy situation. It's a touchy subject. Um, yeah, they want to serve. They want to serve with distinction. That they do, and as far as I'm concerned, my own personal opinion, not that anybody asked for it, but if a woman wants to join a woman wants to join a combat unit and does all the training, including jump training, like these Marines here did, if they want to serve in a frontline unit, who's to deny them? It's incredibly dangerous, of course, but it's dangerous for a man as for a woman. A bullet doesn't detect what sex you are when it hits you. Um, yeah, as far as the movie goes, it's documentary goes, it's 81 minutes plus another half hour worth of special features. I got, as you can tell, I got this copy at my library, and glad that I did. This is a really interesting movie, and I knew I was going to be watching this one sooner than later. I was intrigued by it, so I'm glad I got it, and I'm glad I watched it, and I think you will too. You should be able to find it pretty easily on Amazon or eBay, secondary markets. And you should be able to get this for relatively a good price. I don't see this going for a high dollar. Documentaries often don't, because a lot of times they're considered dated. They go, but this one is not. This one's not. This is still as relevant today as it was when it came out in 2008. All right, that's it for this edition of Dollar Theater. This is episode 98. 98. Wow, we got two more till 100. That's pretty exciting. We got an idea what we're doing for the next couple of episodes. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I saw our good friend Hobbs Horror has restarted his Dollar Theater as well. By all means, go over there and check out his Dollar Theater playlist. It's extraordinarily good, and glad to have him back. If you want to join Dollar Theater for me, it's $1.25 or less of any movies that you can get for $1.25 or less, and that includes library, Dollar Tree, gifts, whatever it takes, as long as it's $1.25, because we are budget ballas here. Yeah, pick it up and review it, and call it Dollar Theater or Dollar Tree Theater or whatever it is. It's a lot of fun, and it's open to anybody who wants to do it, and you can cover any genre you want. That's the fun thing about it. You're not pigeonholed into doing anything. You can review anything that you wish, and we wish to review Team Lioness. All right. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week for the next edition of Dollar Theater.